Hi everyone, Naka Onolafor here, making the invisible visible. So, do you know what I did before coming on camera here? I tried to slick down my baby hairs, which by the end of this video, I can guarantee you they will not be slicked down. We need to have a conversation about texturism among black women. So there are a lot of black women online who have been talking about the natural hair movement that has failed us. You all may remember the natural hair movement some years ago. I'm just estimating maybe 10 years ago or so. A lot of black women were embracing their natural hair, wearing their hair natural. But lately, a lot of black women have been exposing the fact that the movement was an epic fail. So I'm going to give my take on that, give you guys my opinion about that, and just share a little bit of thoughts. So on the thumbnail, you see Kenya Moore. And this video is not, the intention is not to tear down any black owned businesses. However, I think Kenya Moore's brand, her hair care line, which I know very little about, other than the fact that it is marketed to black women, and you kind of see the tagline as "Love the hair that you were born with." And one of the things, we all know, if we are familiar with Kenya Moore, we know that she has amazing hair, right? We also know as black women that most of our hair will never look like hers. I appreciate the fact that Kenya Moore has a product that she is marketing to black women. My hope is that black women are not using this product under the assumption that their hair will look like hers, because you can't buy someone else's genetics. In many ways, that is what Kenya Moore is selling, is her genetics. And so I heard Kimberly Nicole Foster, who is a popular black woman YouTuber, mention this, and it just sparked my interest, and I started making connections between Kenya Moore's hair care line and the natural hair failed movement that a lot of black women have been talking about. So, first of all, this idea of loving the hair that you're born with. I can say that in relation to the natural hair movement, I've never cared about it. And there's a few reasons as to why. So one of the reasons why I never cared about it is because my hair has always been natural, in the sense of I have never had it chemically processed as far as a perm. Like, I have had my hair colored, but never perm straight. So that is just not my experience. So years ago, when a lot of black women were embracing this natural hair movement and growing out their perms and growing in their natural hair and, trying different things, I had already gone through that process. Another thing that I remember happening 10, 15 years ago in this, natural hair movement that black people or black women were embracing, was a lot of black women using a lot of different products. So my whole thing was that the movement to me seemed like a product movement, a movement not necessarily of embracing or loving the hair that you were born with, but more so figuring out how to make your hair texture look less kinky. How can we slick down the baby hairs? How can I turn my 4C very kinky hair into maybe a 3A or a 4B or A, or, and if you don't know what that means, you can look it up. But we need to have a serious conversation about texturism, because we know as black people, and especially as black women, a lot of what we think of our hair and what others think of our hair has a lot to do with how kinky the texture is. And the more kinky the texture, the less your baby hairs lay down. Oftentimes, that hair type is not prized. It is not uplifted. So if you think the natural hair movement failed, comment below. Tell me what you think failed. And if you think the natural hair movement was a success, also comment below. Let me know what you think was successful about it. Again, it was great to see black women embracing their natural hair, but if that is under the premise of, I will embrace my natural hair if I use this eco styling gel that allows my hair to look less kinky, is that black women, does that represent black women really embracing their natural hair? So I don't have any solutions. This is just more of a discussion that I'm bringing to the table. And also for us to acknowledge the fact that texturism is real. And, why was someone like Kenya Moore either approached about starting a hair care line, or, why did she decide to do that? Well, it's because she has the type of hair that a lot of people, especially black people, black women, would love to emulate. They would love to have her type of hair. How much of her hair type or texture is maintenance and care versus just her genes? Let's just be honest. My hair, although I recognize I have locks, but if I did not have locks, my hair, I don't care how much of that product I use, my hair will never look like that. So, I don't want us as black women to be fooled. And I love the fact that black women are being open about the natural hair movement and how it's kind of over. It was a thing again 10, 15 years ago. But why didn't it stick? And if you look back to, say, the 1970s or the 1960s, the period where black women or black people were wearing afros, that movement wasn't about products. Now granted, it was about having a groomed afro, obviously having an afro that was round and shaped well, but it wasn't about moving away from a super kinky texture. Maybe to some degree, because obviously if you're picking out your afro, then you are kind of in some ways straightening your curl pattern, to some extent to get a certain look. But, it wasn't about, well, let me see how much gel I can put in my hair, my afro, to make it look more slick and sleek and to make the curl looser. So we really have to think about that. We have to think about the natural hair movement, again, early, I want to say, I'm just going to say 10, 15 years ago, that existed among the black community, among black women. How much of a success was it really if it was heavily related to the products that we used? So it's a discussion topic. I would love for you to add your input. So feel free to comment on this video if you have any thoughts, and subscribe. Also check out some of my other videos that I've made. Talk to you soon.